Great. For those of you who have not seen an Animal Quest before, welcome to the sub-series of the series Animal Quest. You want to guest star me in? Animal Quest is where we highlight all of the ambassadors that we have Alveus, generally by species. So we've done Animal Quest episodes on Stompy, on the donkeys, on Winnie, on the parrots, on the snakes. And Animal Quest Remastered is on Alveus, where I redo an Animal Quest episode that I've already done because it's been a very, very long time since you guys have seen this information. And a lot of you probably haven't seen the Donkey Animal Quest before. How many of you have seen the Donkey Animal Quest before today? First time catching one live, welcome to the stream. Thanks for being here. Me, Nopers. Me, yes, hello, me. I'm new here. Nopers, I have not. Me, Nopers, no. All right. Great. So you guys are going to learn a lot today. And I'm going to be honest, if you've seen this Animal Quest before, you're going to learn a lot today because it's been years. Donkey Animal Quest was February 7th of 2022, people. February 7th of 2022. It's been a long time. So we're going to relearn all of this together. Note, this Animal Quest is rough. Most of them have sad moments because I talk about the industries that these animal species are exploited in. But the donkey one is particularly rough. So just prepare yourselves. I will give you a warning before you see any graphic content in this presentation. But just be aware that there's some really sad content and some really sad videos and stuff in here, okay? Cool? Cool. Before we talk about all the things, we need to talk about why we're doing a Donkey Animal Quest. Why? Because we have 2 freaking donkeys at Alveus, and their names are Serrano and Jalapeno. The boys, the Pepper Boys, if you will. And here's a little video about how we got them. Danny made this video. That was Jalapeno at the rescue we got him from. Wait. Wait. I didn't realize this picture was in here. Look at this. This is the rescue we got Jalapeno from. This was him. This white donkey. Isn't that crazy? Little guy. Wow. Oh man, guys. All right, we can keep trying. Keep trying. Stay awake. Bella. Out. Out, or the donkey's gonna get you out. Ain't that right? Wow, it's been so long. XYZ, thank you for the 15 months. Okay. So that's who the donkeys are. That's why we have them. That's where we got them from. Cold War, thank you for the sub. Again, if you guys, I mean, you just watched the video, but essentially the donkeys were rescued from a feedlot in Central Texas, which means that they were on their way to be sold at auction, either for slaughter, for meat, for pet kibble, use in pet kibble, for glue, or as like pasture pets, but very infrequently are they sold to be pets at auction because they're sold for very, very cheap prices. So a lot of times it's for meat use. They call them kill pens. They're feedlots, kill pens. So they were rescued from one of those auctions, were brought to a donkey rescue, and then we adopted them through the donkey rescue. So that's how we got Serrano and Jalapeno. Let's talk about donkeys themselves, shall we? Our domestic donkey. Our two boys, their wild diet. In the wild, donkeys are herbivores, they're grazers, they're browsers, they eat grasses, they eat shrubs, they eat leaves, they eat stems, they eat bark, and they drink water. They have also been observed drinking brackish and salt water, which is wild. So, herbivores, grazers, grousers, history of donkeys. Donkeys have a really, really interesting history and a very, very deep history with people, with humans, and we're gonna go in depth about that in a bit, but here's a little bit about the history. So there's two species of wild donkeys. There's an Asiatic branch of wild donkeys, and there's an African branch. All of our modern domesticated donkeys are descended from African wild asses. So the donkeys that we have, domesticated donkeys, are descendants of African donkeys. They were domesticated around 6,000 years ago in North Africa and in Egypt for both meat and milk. So in these pictures above, the top picture is of the Asiatic branch of wild donkeys, and then below that is the African branch of wild donkeys. This is an African wild ass down there. Cool? Cool. A little taste test. A little taste test. Shall we just go give the little donkeys maybe a little treat? You think we should maybe go give the donkeys maybe a little treat to treat? Just really quick. We can't bring them into the studio, but I do want to make sure to bring it back around to why we're doing the Animal Quest today. Because we have donkey ambassadors that like treats. Thank you. Okay. And this is going to be relatively quick, guys. We're going to do a little swapperoo. Check out this seamless transition. Pumpkin Panda, thank you for the $25 donation. Thank you so much. Seamless. All right. Let's get some tweets. First, we pick out the tweets. Oh, thanks. Sorry. Thanks. I'll be really quick. There's food in the studio. Actually.
I can grab it.
Are those like nugget things in the freezer? You know what I'm talking about?
There should be in there.
In there.
That black and gold bag might be. Yeah, the black and gold is the last one.
Hello, Chandler.
Hey.
Excellent. Thank you.
There's like 3 in there, but they're big.
I'll just take 2. Whoa. Chat, we're giving them the fancy ones.
They love
They love them.
Like
And I'm gonna be very brave, and I'm only gonna bring 2 treats in the pasture. And we're
That is bold.
gonna run from a Sarah. All right. Okay. Thank you. 2 treats for the donkeys. A little taste test for the donkeys. If you guys have questions about the donkeys as we walk down there, feel free to ask them. The primary reason that I wanted to bring donkeys into our educational program so early is because donkeys are heavily exploited in traditional medicine. We're going to talk about that in depth today. Again, it's going to get really sad. It's going to get really depressing. But I think it's important to talk about, and a lot of people don't know about it. So we have all these animals at Alveus as ambassadors, and they all are ambassadors to talk about different industries that they're exploited in. And for the donkeys, it's traditional medicine. Compared to horses, do donkeys produce as much waste when they poop? In frequency, yes. In quantity, no, just because they're smaller. Would you say donkeys were domesticated? Yeah, so donkeys were first domesticated about 6,000 years ago in Egypt for milk production and for meat. So, yes, the donkeys that we have are a domesticated species of donkey. Where are they? And I see the horse, so we gotta outmaneuver this horse. I think they're in the oak grove, so we're gonna go down this way. I've heard stories of miners using donkeys to pull cargo. Yes. We're going to talk about that as well. I told you guys donkeys have a really rich history with humans, being a part of human systems, agricultural systems. No, horse. Stay! Stay! Oh, God. Sorry, cameraman. Dang it. Dang it. He's following us. Stop! Okay, saved. All right, before the horse comes over here, this is Jalapeno. He's very handsome. Some people ask about the notch taken out of his ear, and it was an identification thing that they used in feedlots, and this is Serrano. Probably to show that he was a stallion at the time. Really sad way to ID an animal, but they notched him for identification in the feedlot. Jalapeno has become very brave over the years. We got them in May of 2021. We rescued them in May of 2021. And when we first got them, they were not interested in coming up to people or taking food from people. He's not a part of this program. And now they've come a super long way. Nothing for you. They will take food from our hands. The girls can touch Serrano all over. I think Jalapeno pretty close too. And their training's going really, really great. We have a round pen with them now. And we're very proud of their progress. Stop, horse. Stop. What do you guys think? Pretty cute, huh? Nothing for you. Pretty cute, pretty handsome. Hi, buddy. Do you guys have any questions about the donkeys while we're down here? This is a quick taste test, obviously, because now our party has been crashed by a horse. Stop! Go away. Stop! Watch your head on the way out. How long have you had them again? We rescued them in May of 2021. The donkeys were some of the first ambassadors that we got at Alveus. Do they like each other? Yeah, they are very funny. Donkeys have a really high play drive compared to other equine species. So you'll see on the live cams, the donkeys play a lot with each other, with balls, with feed buckets. They chase each other around. They have a lot of fun. What's the difference between donkeys and mules? A mule is a hybridized donkey and a horse. Do they like eating fruit? They love watermelon. Yeah. Don't donkeys get lonely? Yeah, if they were alone, for sure. So they are herd animals. So they like to have buddies. Where are they native from? So there are two branches of wild donkeys. There's an Asiatic branch and there's an African branch. And these are domestic donkeys. This is a species of domesticated donkey. So they're descendants from the African branch of wild donkeys. African wild asses. All right. Shall we? Yawn. That's Stompy. Should we go back up and learn more about the donkeys? Horse? You're annoying. Oh my god. He's so problematic. Hello, Spella. Hello, everybody that's here. Time to go back to the studio. Time to get into it. I have mini donkeys. Are there any differences? Namely, they're smaller. I think, like, genetically, I think you could breed a mini donkey and a standard size donkey. I just don't know how safe it would be. But yeah, mini donkeys are just bred to be shorter. Man, right, thank you for the 10 months. BB, thank you for the prime. Bye, donk friends. Very nice. What time is it? 1:12. Okay, we go back into the studio. We talk about donkeys and humans, how people have used donkeys over the years. And we talk about donkeys in traditional medicine. And we talk about some other animal species in traditional medicine. And I thought there was another whole topic, but I can't remember right now. We'll see it when we go in there. Okay. Okay. Check out this seamless transition. Whoa. Whoa. Pretty good, right? Pretty good. Okay. Let's get back into it. Back into it. Okay. Whoa. Okay. Whoa. Okay. Okay. As promised, let's talk about donkeys and humans. Donkeys have been a part of our lives for a very long time. Like I said, they were domesticated about 6,000 years ago. Not far from cattle, domesticated 10,000 years ago. They've been around pretty much very close to as long, in lots of different ways. Number one, donkeys have been used in war for a very, very long, long time, since they were introduced in England, and when they were introduced in Ireland during World War I, and today, check this out. Donkeys, okay, well, this is donkeys in World War I, this is not today yet. Donkeys in World War I, they're super well suited to hot and rugged environments, and they used to transport ammunition, supplies, and water from the Anzac Cove to men in the trenches. So they were field ambulances, is what they called them. So these are some pictures of donkeys in World War I, transporting things for troops, and even today. Modern use of donkeys in war, these pictures are from 2012, not far off. Donkey convoys transfer supplies like water, ammunition, rice, and more. There were hundreds of donkeys that sustained American bases in Afghanistan from 2001 to 2012. Marine Corps Mountain Warfare Training Center in the Sierra Nevada is responsible for all U.S. military pack animal training. So these are some pretty recent pictures of donkeys being a part of war. It says, there's a quote up here, donkeys are the Afghan helicopter. So, donkeys in war, donkeys in industry. Donkeys have been a crucial source of a lot of people's livelihoods for a very long time as well. They're used for brick and stone transport in India, in coal mines. Here's brick and stone transport in India. Here's coal mines. Actually, this is still brick. Coal mines in Pakistan. Some donkey species are bred to have shorter legs. Same with miniature horses. I've read some about miniature horses being used as pack animals in coal mines because their legs are shorter. And then in sewage and waste disposal as well. So a huge part of a lot of people's livelihoods is having donkeys act as pack animals. And these are super modern. And then as livestock too. So donkeys have a tendency to choose fight over flight, which is kind of bizarre for an equine. And they have this like natural aversion to canines. They want them out of their pasture. People will get donkeys to put in their livestock pastures as protection animals to scare away predators. They stand on business. I'm going to show a picture. If you don't like seeing sad, gory pictures, don't look. 3, 2, 1. This is bizarre equine behavior. Bizarre. But donkeys, for whatever reason, genetically, are willing to do stuff like this to protect livestock and themselves and pastures from predation. So, they're kind of freaks. But yeah. So, in war, in industry, and as livestock protection, donkeys have been doing a ton for us for a very long time. One of the things I was talking about as we were walking outside is donkey use in traditional medicine. So, we'll have videos that'll show how this works, but generally speaking, I mostly talk about Ijao at Alveus, which is a gel. And I'll show you guys pictures of it and how it works. But the demand for it is very, very high. We are using a lot of donkeys. Jamie, thank you for the 5. We're using a lot of donkeys to supply the demand for this industry. And it's a very, very sad industry. And I'm going to show you a video. And again, if you don't want to see some sad scenes, maybe don't watch this video. A lot of the information I got today is from the Donkey Sanctuary. You can do Command TDS if you want more information on them.
Around 500 million people in some of the world's poorest communities rely on donkeys to carry water, transport goods to market, and provide access to education. They offer a pathway out of poverty and are often the difference between destitution and modest survival, particularly for women. But donkeys and the people who rely on them are facing a crisis due to the relentless demand for donkey skins for the production of the Chinese remedy ejao. Estimates suggest that around 4.8 million donkey skins are used every single year in ejao production.
That's 4.8
with China's
million
donkey
individuals.
herd reducing from 11 million in 1992 to just 2.6 million currently. The ejao industry has had to source donkey skins from around the world. This places unprecedented pressure on donkey populations globally and has contributed to the collapse of some national populations.
Many donkeys experience intense suffering at every stage of the skin trade, from sourcing to their eventual slaughter. Their treatment and the suffering it causes is unethical, it is unacceptable, and it is quite often illegal. Donkeys are often transported long distances without food, water, or rest. And they can be held for days, again, without food or water, before being slaughtered, often in the most brutal conditions. Sick, injured, and pregnant donkeys are all still transported. Some mares transported during the late stages of pregnancy give birth during the trip or on arrival at the slaughterhouse. In many cases, the mares are still slaughtered and the foals are either left to die or are killed. This treatment, while appalling and often illegal, does not prevent the skin being used. Broken bones and severed limbs, despite the immense suffering they cause, do not impact the final product, so there is no incentive to treat the donkeys humanely. This largely unregulated and often illegal trade also presents a significant biosecurity risk for all countries that donkeys and their products are transported through. The spread of disease to the global donkey population, to other animals and to humans is a major threat which demands urgent action. Reports indicate that over 60,000 donkeys died across West Africa between March and May in 2019. These deaths occurred along known live trade routes and serve as a reminder of the risks associated with moving live animals. The indiscriminate slaughter of donkeys without regard for their health status and the unhygienic conditions in which they are slaughtered and processed creates a high risk that skins intended for ejao production may be contaminated with disease-causing agents. And the ease with which ejao products may be contaminated by compounds dangerous to human health is alarming.
The waste disposal practices associated with slaughter also cause significant environmental degradation. As the skin is the most valuable part of any donkey slaughter for the trade, carcasses are often discarded. In some cases, unwanted byproducts are simply poured into huge pits or left in piles, often nearby homes. And these sites attract vultures and feral dogs and pollute waterways, some of which supply drinking water. But animal welfare, environmental protection and disease control are not the only laws being flouted by some traders. In many cases, donkeys are stolen, traded and slaughtered in open defiance of national bans on the trade. There is also evidence of links to the trafficking of wildlife products, including ivory, pangolin scales, rhinoceros horn and tiger skins. Given the far-reaching impacts of the skin trade, it's not surprising that a growing number of governments are taking a stand against it.
This is a crisis we can't ignore, and the Donkey Sanctuary is calling for an immediate halt to the global trade in donkey skins until it can be proven to be humane, sustainable and safe. It is more important than ever that investment is made into finding alternatives to the slaughter of millions of donkeys each year.
Cellular agriculture is the process of farming animal products from cells instead of entire animals. There's immense potential for cellular agriculture as a means of supplying the raw materials needed by the ejao industry. If donkey skin or collagen can be created via the process of cellular agriculture, we're confident the ejao industry would benefit financially through a more cost-effective means of production, with greater control efficiency, and sustainability.
If a cellular agriculture solution was realised, it could provide the industry with a regular, controlled and hygienic supply of raw materials without compromising the welfare of donkeys, the economic viability of communities, and the health of people and the environment.
All right. So, that video was a lot. Hello, we're back, by the way, if you like muted or whatever. So that video was a lot. I'm gonna be honest, generally I don't show videos that are that much, but I remember doing all this research and it was by far the most comprehensive video that I could find regarding all of this stuff. The Donkey Sanctuary, again, I got a lot of info from the Donkey Sanctuary. You can do Command TDS if you want to find them. They're doing a lot of animal welfare activism. And so a lot of nonprofits that do stuff like that do get pretty graphic in what they show. So it's heavy, but it's important. So thanks for watching. One of the hardest things about that video is the fact that the skins of donkeys and the way that they use them is not affected by stress. It's not affected by broken bones or cuts or anything like that. And so the treatment of the donkeys throughout the process is really, really devastating. And this is not a small problem that's just happening like every once in a while to some individuals. It's like 5 million individuals every year, which is insane. So what is E-gel? What does it look like? This is what it looks like. It's a hard gel that can be dissolved into hot water or alcohol. It can be added to food products, drink products, beauty products. It is believed to, and there's an asterisk there, the medical properties of E-gel have not been proven. And that goes with a lot of animal products in traditional medicine. There's a lot of cultural belief and there's a lot of tradition in using these products. And there's a lot of economic viability in these markets. But the medical properties have not been proven. It is still very popular. It's believed to help improve blood circulation, treat anemia, treat reproductive issues, treat insomnia, improve skin. So there's a lot of beliefs to what E-gel does for people. But this is what it looks like. So all the skins, it's gelatin. Yes. The skins are boiled down and then it is made into a hard gel that can then be melted down again to use in other products. So, again, I know that video was a lot, and I know it seems crazy, but we are not talking about a small group of individuals that are being affected, individuals as in donkeys. By what percentage has the donkey population in China fallen since 1991? What do you guys think? You can vote on the poll here. Thank you for the 10. Thank you so much. They're voting, they're saying B, 59%. Do you think it's 15%, 59%, 46%, or 99%? By what percentage has the donkey population in China fallen since 1991? I have more polls for you guys after this to give you a scope of what this looks like. All right. Most of you, 62% of you, think that it has fallen by 59%, and you are correct. Good guesses. Sad answer. The donkey population in China has fallen by 59% since 1991, and this is when I did this research in 2022. So it may be more now. The scale, again, you guys saw this in the video, so you see how well everybody was listening. Currently, how many donkey skins does the E-gel industry require annually? And when I say donkey skins, I mean individual donkey hides. So how many donkeys are supplying the E-gel industry annually? Is it like 5 donkeys? Like 2.5 million donkeys? Like 4.8 million donkeys? Or 9.8 million donkeys? Some listening skills tested. It's looking pretty good for you guys. Okay. What is that? 85% of people think that it's C because you're good listeners. That is correct. About 4.8 million donkeys annually go into supplying this industry. Transport. So what I was talking about in how the condition of the animal doesn't necessarily affect the end product that they're going for. What percentage of donkeys are thought to die in transport for this industry? 1%, 10%, 20%, 50%. What do we think? Percentage of donkeys die in transport? %, say C. You guys are really good at polls. 20% of the 5 million or so are dying in transport, which is devastating. All right, wildlife in medicine. We have a lot to talk about here, okay? This is a very complicated issue. I'll get to the complicated part maybe at the end of this. Okay, so TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. This is from National Geographic in 2019. Traditional Chinese medicine, often referred to as TCM, is a system of healthcare that dates back to the 3rd century BC. It grew out of the writings of ancient healers who began recording their observations of the body, its functions, and its reactions to various therapies and treatments. Okay, that's what traditional Chinese medicine is. The scale. How big is this industry? What is the annual estimated industry value of TCM? This is a big question with another poll. What is the annual estimated industry value of TCM? Is it 20 million, 500 million, 1 billion, or is it a $60 billion industry annually? What do you think? A, B, C, or D? What is the annual estimated industry value? The other way to think about this, annual estimated industry value, how many people are involved in this industry? Stand by. Hold on. What's the scale? What's the scale? How big is this industry? How many people are involved in this industry? How popular is it really? $20 million industry? $500 million industry? $1 billion industry? $60 billion industry annually. A, B, C, or D. 44% think that the answer is D, and you are correct again. You guys are really good at polls. This is a $60 billion industry annually. Massive industry. So there are a lot of people that still partake in TCM, and there is a lot of money and a lot of parts circulating through it. The impact of a TCM, so it's going to get really sad here, guys. Again, warning. Warning, it's going to get really sad because we're going to talk about some examples that go beyond donkeys of animals that are impacted by traditional medicine. These are just some pictures of market and products and stuff like that. But the first one we're going to talk about is pangolins. You guys know pangolins? You familiar? Yes, we love pangolins. Pangolins are the #1 most trafficked animal in the world. The #1 most trafficked animal in the world. There are up to 2.7 million pangolins poached every year for meat and medicine. It makes them the most illegally trafficked animal. Their scales are thought to treat ailments from difficulty with lactation to poor circulation. There are 8 species of pangolin on our planet, and all of which are endangered. All of them are endangered due to illegal trade. There are at least 125 herbal, mineral, and animal alternatives to pangolin scales in Chinese medicine that have been described. So a lot of people think that pangolin scales do a lot of things, but there's also 125 alternatives that have been described as well. So that's positive, but there are a ton of pangolins circulating through this industry. I don't know if you noticed, this is really sad. If you don't want to look at this, don't look at it. You already saw it, but you might not have processed what it is. These are 2 pictures of pangolins. The one on the bottom is a pangolin that's rolled up. One of the reasons that they're so easy to poach is when pangolins get scared, they just roll up into a ball. So they're very easy to poach, unfortunately. And then the picture above that is a collection of pangolins that were poached for use in traditional medicine. A lot of them. A lot of them. So pangolins, one example that we have to talk about when we talk about traditional medicine because they are so heavily exploited in traditional medicine. Bears are also used in traditional medicine. For thousands of years, bear bile has been prescribed for epilepsy, hemorrhoids, and heart pain. Bears can survive. Okay, so this one is really... Bear bile, you guys know what bile is? So, like acid in your stomach. Bear bile is drained via a catheter, syringe or pipe inserted into the gallbladder, from the gallbladder. And the hard thing about bile, or the sad thing about bile, is called milking for bile, is that the animal has to be alive. So it's not just poaching and then killing and then using products. It's farming. So bears can survive up to 35 years in captivity, and so they can reside at bile farms for decades. Here's a picture of a milking situation in captivity. And there's also this video that I'm trying to remember if I want to play or not. Okay. Again, another warning, this video is harder than the donkey video. You know what? I'm not going to play it. I changed my mind. I'm not going to play it because I haven't reviewed it in several years. You get the picture, though, just via the thumbnail and via the picture above. It goes through a bear bile facility and documents what that looks like and the conditions that they're kept in, and how milking for bile works. So this is a product, again, that is used in traditional medicine. All right. Next, rhinos. I know we've talked about rhinos before, and I know you guys love rhinos. Rhino horn has been used in traditional Chinese medicine for over 2,000 years. Rhino horns, thought to treat fever, rheumatism, gout, cure snake bites, hallucinations, typhoid, headaches, vomiting, food poisoning, and devil possession. The international trade in rhino horn has been banned under CITES, though. So, Convention on the International Trade in Endangered Species of Fauna and Flora. The international trade of rhino horns has been banned since 1977. That doesn't mean that it's not happening anymore. It's just happening illegally. Hopefully less, but it definitely still happens illegally. That's why poaching for rhinos is such a big problem. So here are a couple pictures of rhino horn being sold and rhino horn in products. And then a picture down here of global rhino populations. They're devastatingly small. Rhinos have been super, 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 super heavily affected by traditional medicine. So, this is always a hard thing to talk about. Talking about traditional Chinese medicine in particular. I think it can bring up a lot of feelings and a lot of very, very strong opinions, but there is some sensitivity that we have to talk about here. This is not just a matter of get rid of it. It has to go. All of it has to go. We have to ban it all. That wouldn't work for a lot of reasons. There's cultural dependence, there's economic dependence, and there's livelihoods that are dependent on this industry. It cannot just all go at once. I know that's a hard thing to grasp, and you want to say why that's crazy, that's stupid. It's not that simple. This is a systematic problem, and it's due to large pharmaceutical industries. rhino horns and tiger bones were removed from the Chinese pharmacopoeia in the 1980s. So things are improving. And in February of 2022, China's National People's Congress put a full ban on any trade in terrestrial wildlife. Why? Because of COVID. Because there is a huge biosecurity risk here in the animal trade for traditional medicine and in wet markets, which are markets where there are live animals next to produce, next to consumable things, and slaughter is happening, and there's a ton of risk for cross-contamination and for the breeding of pathogens and for the spread of zoonotic diseases. In February of 2022, China's National People's Congress put a full ban on any trade in terrestrial wildlife. So people are starting to realize the risks here. And even though it's a huge systematic problem that we cannot just get rid of, we do need more regulations in this industry, both for the welfare of animals and for the safety of us as a species. All that being said, one interesting quote that I pulled in 2022 was from the CEO of Save the Rhinos, which is an organization I've done work with before. This is Kathy Dean. In having this hard conversation about not just getting rid of it and saying these people are awful, this is awful, they have to stop, is also to remember that it would be totally wrong if respecting the cultural beliefs of one country, China, led to the extinction of Africa's biological heritage. In this in particular, she's talking about rhinos, because there are a ton of rhinos being poached out of Africa to be used in traditional Chinese medicine. That's also a valid point to make. Donkey populations in Botswana have decreased by between 30 and 40% as well to meet the supply for, or to meet the demand for Izhao. They're poaching donkeys out of Botswana to meet the demand in China. So that's also a devastating thing to think about. All this being said, it's a lot to think about. You guys catching my drift? You understand what I mean? It's not a simple problem, but it is a really important problem to talk about. Why should we care? I think you guys already do care, which is very exciting. But why should we care? So, number one, what I was just talking about with donkeys, we're going back to donkeys. This is Donkey Animal Quest. The loss of donkeys means the loss of livelihoods to a lot of people that depend on them. The loss of farming, the loss of access to water, the loss of their infrastructure. So the loss of donkeys means the loss of livelihoods. A lot of people depend on them. Global trade of donkeys and other wildlife can and will lead to devastating health crises for us as humans. The collapse of one species always leads to the collapse of another. Biodiversity is important. Donkeys are important. We got to think plain wing here, guys. And working animals deserve to experience quality welfare. One that maybe is not talked about enough if we're talking hard facts, but the reality is donkeys have been by our side, helping humans as a species for 6,000 years. In so many different ways, in war, in infrastructure, in agriculture, as companions, as guardians. Donkeys have been working animals for people for so long, and so they deserve quality welfare. They just do. That's why we should care. Recommendations. So what can we do? Back to our donkey boys, our pepper boys, so cute. Very nice. Number one, you can support herbal and plant-based alternatives to medicinal products. Check your medicine products. You don't have rhino horn out of the cold medicine that you're getting at H-E-B. You don't, but it is important to know what goes into our products. That's not just for medicine, that's for what we're eating all the time. We just need to be more conscious consumers. We need to know what's going on to be able to change anything that's going on that we don't like. Spread the word so you guys can tell people about this. You can talk to people about this. Most people just don't know. If this is your first time seeing this Animal Quest, you're probably like, what the hell? You're probably like, what do you mean this is happening? That doesn't make, like, what do you mean? So it's an important thing for people to know. It's important to talk about. You can donate to TDS. You can do command TDS in chat. Again, I got a lot of information from this Animal Quest from TDS. They do a lot of really important work. They are advocating aggressively for donkeys. And then, as always, avoid exotic furs, jewelry, trophies, remedies, stuff that involves animal products and encourages the trade. of animal products. You don't need any of that crap. That is the end of my presentation. Let's do some questions, shall we? La la la. All right. Okay. Let's answer some questions. I'm opening the question doc. I'm refreshing the question doc. Okay, if you have a question, you can do hashtag ask followed by your question, and I will pull some of them up right now, and I will answer them. Okay. Would you do a conservation Uncharted with TDS? I don't know them, to be totally honest with you. I have no connection to TDS besides the research that I've done, so I don't know. And they're UK based. How are the donkey personalities different than a horse's? This always depends on the individual, but if I had to generalize based on my experience with horses and donkeys, because I actually have quite a bit through my life, I've always had a horse and a donkey in my life since I was like a baby. Donkeys, very strong-willed, very playful, very exuberant. Even with Jalapeno, even though Jalapeno is shy and kind of scared of people, there's just something about donkeys that is very lively and exuberant. And horses, there's such a huge range of horse personalities. But horses tend to have like a lower play drive than donkeys. They tend to be much quicker to run than donkeys, and much quicker to be jumpy and not pull back but run away. Yeah, I don't know if that really answers your question. That wasn't a very good way that wasn't very articulate. But donkeys are more playful, really strong-willed, more exuberant is how I feel about them. Yeah, so have you worked with other donkeys other than the Alveus ones? Yeah, totally. I got my first donkey. Her name is Jingle Bell. She still is alive. I got her when I was, I don't know, I must have been like 8 or so. This is an interesting question. Do you think Donkey from Shrek is a good depiction of a donkey? I mean, I think he's funny, and I think he's nice. He definitely is like, he's definitely like, he plays the stupid character, and donkeys are really smart. So maybe not great there, but... also an interesting question. Is it okay / ethical to have a donkey as a pet? So the donkeys that we have are domestic donkeys. And they were domesticated 6,000 years ago. So the answer is yes, if you have the land and the resources and the time for them. But if you have land, if you have pasture, donkeys are a great addition, I think, to pasture, especially if there's like, if you got horses in there, if you have other donkeys, if you have goats, if you have sheep, I think donkeys make a great addition. And they are a domestic species. So yeah, that's fine. So this is a question. Are working donkeys frequently overworked, or do owners take care of them? I cannot answer this question generally. because it absolutely depends on the person. I think generally a lot, even in the US also, when you see working animals and working livestock, overworking is definitely an issue, especially because there's a prime for them in age, you know? So from ages for horses, for working horses, or like cart horses in the US, for example, right? From ages like, I don't know if they started maybe like 3 or 4 to maybe 10 years old, they are working. So I would fall more on the side of being a little concerned, but there are also people that love their working donkeys and take excellent care of their donkeys, and I cannot speak for other countries. I'm only speaking for the US right now. What's the difference between a donkey and a mule? So a mule is a hybrid between a horse and a donkey. That's the difference. So a mule is half donkey. Did your donkeys work for you when you were young, or were they just pets? They were just pets. I've never had a donkey do anything besides be like a pasture guardian. But I've never had a donkey like pull anything or carry anything. Why are donkeys known as pack animals and not horses? A lot of horses are used as pack animals. Donkeys, I don't know how to say this technically. Donkeys are much more sure-footed, and so are mules, than normal horses are. I think horses have been bred for a long time to be ridden and like do fancy things. A lot of horses have a lot smaller feet. One of the things that you won't notice, one of the things that I've noticed, a Cerro is a Kiger Mustang, which is a species of horse that still exists in the wild. His feet are massive. And then my mom has a quarter horse who's kind of a fancy quarter horse, and his feet are really small. He's just not sure-footed in the way that a Cerro is, and a Cerro is not sure-footed in the way that donkeys are. So that's one of the reasons. They're really well balanced, and they're really good at walking through really rough terrain. They're really hardy to heat. Like they do really well with heat and rugged environments. And they're smaller. They can still carry a lot, but they're smaller, maybe easier to manage. But people also use horses as pack animals. This is an interesting question. Splash said, will donkeys smell dogs on a person and possibly have an adverse reaction, or is their sense of smell not that strong? They definitely have an excellent sense of smell. I think this question depends on the individual donkey, whether or not they'll care about that. But our donkeys, like the smell of swat, which is an ointment that we put on cuts to keep flies away, Serrano hates that smell. And so if you have swat on your hands, like he won't let you come near him. So they definitely have a really good sense of smell. If they really, really hate dogs, and you smell like dog, I'm sure they would not want to hang out with you. Mushy Lover said, do donkeys like to socialize with humans? It depends on the donkey. I keep saying this. It depends where they are. It depends on the... But even our donkeys, like when they first got here, they had no interest really in interacting with people or taking food from our hands. Now you walk in the pasture and the donkeys are like, ooh, what she got? What are you doing? You know? So it depends. I think if donkeys are raised from when they're little and are around humans a lot, they love it. They can be really, really sweet, almost cuddly even, and love being around people. How long do they live? Yeah, so Mick just answered it. 25 to 30 on average, but can maybe live up to 40 years. 40 years is kind of wild. They are, I mean, maybe, with like really, really excellent care, under human care. But 40 years is pretty steep. I would guess under human care, like 30. Which donkey would you let take over Alveus for a day if they could talk English? Probably a Serrano. Only because I think that Jalapeno would be too nervous to tell people what to do. Okay, I know this question is a joke. Are donkeys related to unicorns? No, actually, just like fun fact, unicorns as a myth came from narwhals. So they used to mount narwhal tusks on walls of like rich people's houses and say like it was a unicorn tusk, like they found this from a horse in the woods. That makes no freaking sense to me. Why that's cooler than finding it on a freaking whale in the ocean. I don't know why it would be cooler to find it on a horse in the woods, but that's where that came from. Anyway, but no, it has nothing to do with donkeys. All right, a couple more. So a couple people have asked about like donkey specific diseases. Generally, they're treated the same as equines. Like it would be our equine vet that would come in and do anything with the donkeys. So West Nile is one that we have to look out for with equines. Laminitis is something that we look out for with equines as well. Especially being short, stockier little guys, and we have no idea what their genetic history looks like. The two donkeys that we have no idea what their medical history is, or what their parents' medical history is, and we will never know any of that. So laminitis is something that we'll look for, but that's not usually a problem unless weight becomes an issue, and our donkeys have been totally fine weight-wise. So yeah, pretty much just like a horse, though, I think is my answer. Okay, a couple more. Honeybee said, which collaborator has been the best with the donkeys? I think I remember Canute being really good with the donkeys. Or maybe that was just like the best because it was the most surprising because I thought they'd be scared of him. But then he did really, really well. Oh, and Janet. Janet did a really good job too. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Two more. Hubengo said, how long has Ijao been a thing? I think Ijao has been a part of TCM for about 2,000 years. And then last one, how can you tell how old a donkey is? So with donkeys and horses, you can tell how old they are by their teeth. And by you, I mean a vet. I couldn't really look at their I could tell if the horse was a baby or old. But a vet can look at horse or donkey teeth and be like, he's about 10, 11, which is pretty cool. So our guess for the donkeys is that they're in their teens, 10 to 15. By their teeth. Cool. Great. All right, guys. That is going to be it for Animal Quest today. Thank you for bearing with us with all of the tech issues. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Animal Quest Remastered. It's been a while since we've talked about all this, but it's a good reminder for what our donkeys are ambassadors for. Good stuff. GG's, go tell your friends. Thank you for watching. By the way, don't go anywhere. I realize this would be better to do on my stream because more people will see it, but the Patchy and Toast enclosures are ready. And I don't want them to wait until Friday just because I stream Friday. So the Animal Care Chat stream today is going to be putting Patchy and Toast in their enclosures. And I will be there because I want to see that also. So it'd be sick. Let's go! Big time. Very exciting. Don't go anywhere. We're going to switch to live cams for about half an hour. I'm going to take a lunch break and then we're going to come back and do that. Cool. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. Goodbye.